Hey,
It worked.
wonderful.
Yeah, I think we all just had to restart.
Oh man, that was interesting. Zoom's just got a mind of its own sometimes, man. It
Oh my
just
gosh, it really
cha-
does.
Ooh.
changes settings on you.
Hi, everyone.
Ta-da!
All
Hey, I'm gonna have
right,
to.
we got video
I'm gonna-
now.
All
All
right.
right, Katie's rocking the Blue Jay
Hi.
outfit.
Yep.
This is why we needed video. I mean, how are we gonna miss that Blue Jay jersey? I mean, come on now. And for some reason, I didn't know that Katie's name was Cristan Fadal, but she seems to be.
Is that what it says? Oh, you know what? It's because I couldn't find the link for whatever reason. Hold on. I'm going to log off and log back in.
Yeah,
now
I
that
can
I have.
actually. I think you could just change your name. Actually,
Oh,
Yeah.
I could just change your name for you.
I will rename it. I got
You have
it.
a nickname you want me to call you, or is Katie?
Nah,
You want to go by the
Katie
real
sounds
deal?
good.
All right.
I
Well,
was Abe Froman for a while.
good to see smiling Chance, man. I know you've been battling some health concerns lately, so good to see you.
Yeah, great.
Glad to hear that you're doing well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an interesting run there for a few weeks. So
I know. I mean, I'm not sure if this was a COVID-related thing, right?
yeah. I caught the Rona. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Nice.
No, it was craziest thing. So but I mean, it was just maybe two days tops of symptoms, and then it was perfectly fine after that. So
I'm glad you're okay.
thanks.
All right.
My
you guys
daughter
can
had
do,
a great time being on her own for a while. So
you guys can do a brief banter on your own. I'm just going to set up our Facebook Live, and then we'll get rolling.
Sounds good. Is there too
Now you
much
said
light behind me?
what's that?
No.
I feel like there's too much light, but maybe not behind me. Oh, geez. I love that your background's on a yacht.
I know.
Done.
I was telling Chance, man, our last event inspired me to change my Zoom background. So I've been getting a lot of good comments about it ever since. So I think I'll keep it. We had a happy hour on a yacht in our July event. If you guys saw, it was a lot of fun and kind of got me fired up, I guess, about doing business on a yacht from now on.
Well, I'll be sure to be at the next one for sure.
Looking forward to it. October 22nd, we're going to do a masquerade party. So even if COVID is running
nice.
rampant, we'll all be wearing masks anyway. So it should be all right.
Ah, good theme.
It is a good theme.
All right. We should be jumping into here in just a second. Becoming a hyper-local expert.
Where do you guys all, I guess I should know this, hyper-local expert at?
I'm over in the Pinellas County area, so North Pinellas.
I'm in Tampa, but I live in Pinellas.
Oh, okay.
I'm in St. Pete, Northeast St. Pete.
Cool.
Where
No,
are you at?
I'm in Tampa, so I guess I'm
Okay.
the only one that lives in.
And I'm Dunedin, just
Oh, I love
hyper-focused on just Dunedin.
Okay. Yeah, I love Dunedin. I'm like 15 minutes. I live over in Eastlake, so
Okay.
very, very short drive. Casatina's is like, love that place. Amazing food over there.
Yeah, Dunedin's awesome.
All right. We should be good. Sorry for the technical glitches today, but hey, you got to roll with the punches sometimes, I guess.
Right.
But I think we are now streaming on Facebook Live, and obviously we'll have this recorded, and we'll also put up a full recording. But as we typically do, we'll get started with just a quick word from a couple of our sponsors that really make this entire platform possible. Without people like Chance Unger and John Jones with Van Dyke Mortgage, Amay Lyons with Artesian Title, among other sponsors as well. Margot, I don't know if you are, I'm putting you on as allowing to talk. I'm not sure if you weren't able to join on the other link. But Margot Ackerman with Home Team Inspections is another one of our partners here and sponsors. Margot, you're now able to talk audio, but your video is not showing on your
How
end.
do I do that?
You're now able to talk audio, but your video is not showing. I just promoted you to panelist, so you should have a video thing on your end that you can click on. I don't think there's anything I'm doing on my end, but why don't we just start there with a couple of quick there you go. A couple of quick introductions, and then we will get rolling with our main topic today. So, Amay, if you'd like to go first and just say a few words about Artesian and how you guys add value to the platform.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for putting me on the spot going first. I love it. My name's Amay Lyons, and I'm with Artesian Title. We are based out of Tampa, but we work we basically work all of Florida. We're the top rated title company in Florida as per Google reviews. And one thing that we actually one thing I appreciate, as a company is that we actually have concierge closers that we will send to buyers and sellers at no extra cost to the buyers or sellers. So that's one really great feature of our services. I mean, I've been known to close an ER doctor at 2 a.m. in the ER because you couldn't figure out any other time. So you got to make it work, right? So that's definitely one feature that we really pride ourselves in. So thank you guys for having us, and it's a privilege to be alongside all of these other panelists.
Yeah, Artesian's actually been a partner of Real Producers in Orlando for many years, and has been working with us here in Tampa Bay now for about a little over a year now, I believe. And Amay joined the team recently, and excited to have somebody local here in Tampa that's helping develop and reaching out and getting those relationships flowing. So they do a lot of creative things on the title side. If you guys ever need some help with that, anybody who's either on this panel or just watching the recordings of this as well. So Artesian's there for your services. I also would like to introduce you another one of our proud sponsors who also works with us on numerous markets, and that's Van Dyke Mortgage. Guys were introduced to Chance a few minutes ago, fighting, he's just a fighter, coming back from COVID. He's ready to go. He looks bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and feel free to say a few words, Chance.
Absolutely. So I'm really glad to be here and see you all. I absolutely love this topic as well too, being hyper-local. And, for Van Dyke Mortgage, we are a national lender, but I like to say we operate on a local level because we do have a corporate hub here in Feather Sound where our processing is local, our underwriting is local, our closers are local, everyone is local. So it's not like you're having to battle with different time zones, right? So, and that's very important for us. And for me personally, I love promoting local, and it's about being that subject matter expert in your area, right? In the top of mind for people. So I absolutely love this. I'm so excited to hear the panelists and like their insight and strategies on how to really hone in on this, because, I think sometimes we get stretched out and we want to have this level of omnipresence where our reach goes out a little bit farther than what we can control. So being able to dial this down more into a concentrated level, I think is going to be very effective for everyone. So I'm very excited, very honored. And thanks.
Good to be here, man. Absolutely. And you guys, I don't think I need to say much about the Van Dyke brand. They've are obviously a national brand, but as Chance just said, have the ability to have a local reach with people like Chance that really does a great job of focusing on his relationships. And he's actually a really good follow on social media too. If you're somebody who just wants to like laugh every now and again, the guy's a bit of a comedian. So he's a fun dude to have on your team. I also will introduce you to another one of our sponsors, Margot Ackerman here with Home Team. They've been supported in so many different ways here in the time we've worked together. Margot and her husband, Jeff, are a dynamic duo, is what I like to call them. And Margot, if you'd like to say hello, floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Don, we are also a franchise, and believe it or not, we work in various markets, and I keep forgetting to tell you that. I've spoken several times, and as I was thinking this morning on what I wanted to say, I came up with a different message. You've heard me speak, and hopefully you've heard about Home Team. But being dependent on realtors, I want to thank you for being resilient. April was devastating, and I wondered what the future held for our industry at that point in time. And this is directed to our realtors out there. You could have quit, and that was a prediction, but you did not. And I looked at our inspections for the week, and I have a realtor doing 2 inspections in 1 week. And then I have a realtor doing 3 inspections in 1 week while scheduling another one. So at this point in time, I want to deliver the message from Home Team to say thank you. Home Team recognizes that without you, we would not exist. And therefore supporting you on a local basis, because our teams are divided by zip codes. So if you stay in one zip code area, one area, you will always have the same team and you will be able to build a rapport. And I once again want to thank Don too, because this is a wonderful platform that he has put together for realtors. And I look forward to hearing you today. And hi, Katie. I tried to see you at an inspection, but I did meet your wonderful cousin who I love. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to put a face, a name to, or face to a name. So nice to meet you.
Yeah. I've been trying to do it for a year. We'll get there.
Well, you can see Katie's face everywhere. Just look up national anthems and she'll be popping up left and right. So you're good to go.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We will get to that, no doubt, in just a second. All right, guys. I appreciate you, everything that you guys do to support our platform, because again, without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And so, but you guys know the drill. I'm going to be spotlighting the agents here. So I'm going to be removing you as panelists, and you can say bye-bye, do a dance, whatever you want to do.
Bye.
All right, here we go. Okay, guys, so let me just at least start with a very brief introduction of each of you, and then we will dive right into our questions. And so, oops, okay. We had a really talented panel today. I'm sure everybody's already aware of that, but all 3 of our panelists are top 100 producers in the Tampa Bay market. I don't know if that's the first time that we've had that, but it's not every panel, that's for sure, that we are bringing top 100 producers together. Those of you who are familiar with our platform know that we create a monthly magazine that goes to the top 500 real estate agents in Tampa Bay. So it's always a special opportunity to be able to get the best of the best of the best together on a panel. And that's really what we have today, talking about becoming a local hyper expert. We have first and foremost here, Denise Antonewitz. Denise is a hyper local expert for sure in the St. Petersburg area, Pinellas County with Keller Williams. A top 100 producer. The numbers speak for themselves. Over $140 million in sales volume, over 500 homes sold in the Tampa Bay area just over the last 5 years. She's a top 1% licensed realtor in Pinellas County. She was a licensed dental hygienist for 16 years, which I thought was fascinating before getting her license, and has really found a home there in that luxury division with Keller Williams there. With St. Pete. She's also a leader of a team. She has been on the Leadership Council for 5 straight years as well with KW Luxury International. I don't know if I missed anything else there that I wanted to make sure I threw out there. But I've gotten to know Denise a little bit through our one-on-one interview that we had not that long ago, I guess. And know that it was definitely a pleasure to learn your story and be able to do our feature on you not that long ago as well. So thank you again for being here, Denise, and excited to hear what you have to say in a few minutes.
Thank you.
I also, of course, want to take a second to introduce Cristan Fadal. You guys will see Cristan in our most recent issue that will be out very shortly, a Making a Difference feature with him and his wife, Jen. They're, again, top 100 producers with Century 21. In South Tampa specifically. That market is really what he focuses in on a lot, not just from a business sense, but what you'll get when you read the article coming out here shortly is they are very, very intentional about community involvement with South Tampa in so many different ways. He'll probably touch on that, I would imagine, but he's definitely become, him and his wife, Jen, have become community leaders in the Davis Island neighborhood, as well as, of course, leaders from a sales standpoint year in and year out. They have a son, Sebastian. From a production standpoint, they've done over $22 million last year. It's also kind of neat that they own a pet supply store there in the South Tampa area. So I think it's called WAG. Is that correct, Cristan?
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
WAG Natural Pet Market.
WAG Natural Pet Market. So if you're a pet owner, go check them out. And they're there with smiling faces as soon as you walk in. Century Award Club achiever as well with Century 21. And it's an honor to have you here today, Cristan. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
And then last, but of course not least, is none other than Katie Ducharme. And I think for a long time, Katie, I was mispronouncing your last name. I was saying Ducharme. So
That's okay.
I was butchering you. I was butchering it, wasn't I?
No, I mean, people say Ducharme all the time. It's all good.
That doesn't mean it's right. You know, you don't have to accept it.
Yeah. Well.
Well, it's great to have you, Katie, with Coastal Christie's, another top 100 producers in Tampa Bay. Over $28 million last year with Katie and her team. They did over 90 transactions, really specializing in that Dunedin area. She's done a great job in building a brand there in Dunedin and in that surrounding area. Over 14 to 15 years now, if I'm not mistaken, in the Dunedin market has been a focus of hers. She's a President's Club champion. Kind of has a very interesting background of living in New York City for when she was 18 years old to develop her skill sets as a professional singer. And if you follow her online, you'll see that she's very talented on the voice side. And to this day, I think still not only sings at national anthems, but does other singing, I don't know if you'd call them jobs, but performs in various capacities. So very talented singer. I actually had the pleasure of hearing her in person at a Yankees Blue Jays spring training game last year, and that was a lot of fun. So thank you for joining us today, Katie. Also married with 2 boys. Is that right, Katie? 2 boys?
I have 2 little boys, yeah.
2 little boys, and excited to have you here today. So thanks again for taking the time out, for all of you guys, for sharing your knowledge and helping the real estate community. So if it's okay with you, we're going to dive right in now. How's that sound? All right.
Great.
So when we go through these questions, don't feel like you're obligated to have to answer every single question, each one of you, even though you'll all have the opportunity to do so. If you feel like there's nothing more that you want to add on a particular topic, then that's obviously fine, and don't feel like you're obligated to have to do so. Uh-oh, look who just joined in. Better late than never, Lori. How are you?
I'm so sorry.
No worries at all.
I looked at my clock and I'm like, I totally forgot to call in. Hi.
Yeah. Well, Lori represents another one of our proud sponsors with Celebration Title. And so, Lori, why don't you say hi real quick before we get diving into the panel?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yep. Lori with Celebration Title. We are the home of the original confetti cannons. So I know you're starting to hear a little bit more about us in Tampa, and we're super excited to be really taking off there. Just some great things happening. We have some great promotion kind of things going on right now with refi. So if you're a lender and you have someone that's, doing a refi, absolutely give me a call and let's kind of compare some costs. We do our title search, Atlas title search. So it's definitely something that sets us a little bit apart. So we have some great opportunities and great things. I'd love to meet you for coffee or lunch. So if you're an agent, please reach out to me and put me in your calendar for maybe 10-15 minutes. Let's talk a little bit how we can partner up and help build each other's business.
Thank you, Lori. They actually have a very fun culture over there with Celebration. I mean, that's obviously
we do.
Any team that has Lori a part of it is going to have a fun culture. But
Thanks, Don.
They do a great job, and you guys have been helping out in so many different ways and proud supporters, not just of Tampa Bay, but also Orlando and a couple of other our real producer markets.
Yeah.
So,
Volusia County. Yeah, we're kind of all over the place. So, well, thank you. It's an amazing panel today. I'm excited to hear everybody. So I will have it on and I will enjoy. And I appreciate you giving me a minute. Sorry, I was late.
No doubt at all.
All right, bye.
All right.
Are you
kicking you out? Okay. So we usually start the panels with just a very quick bio. I know I just did a little bit of that, but we'd like to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak. If you want to just walk us through a brief recap of your career, what that path has looked like from, when you got rolling, how your business has evolved over the years. And of course, today's topic being becoming a hyperlocal expert. We'll dive into some mechanics of that in a minute. But at what point would you say in your career, did it become important for you to really try to brand yourself in a local niche community? So why don't we start first with Denise, and then we'll hop around a little bit.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today, Don. I really feel honored that I'm on this panel with such great agents. And I started in 2012 in the business. And as he mentioned, I was a dental hygienist, 17 years, not 16, every year I can get. It was a great career for me. I had my son. I was able to raise him and have a great career working part-time, and got into an issue with my neck and everything. So I decided to go ahead and retire completely, because everyone knows you cannot be successful in real estate as a part-time realtor. So I just retired and got my license, and been with Keller Williams since day one, 2012. Started out as a single agent. I'm the type of personality that I kind of jump in feet first, ask questions later, get going. So I was very busy from day one. Started out as a single agent first 2-3 years, and then with the education and things like that at Keller Williams, was able to really learn how to run a business versus just being a realtor or selling houses. That's what I thought I was going to do. And then I just evolved into this we're turning into a mega team. We did do 42 million last year, which our goal was 30, and each year I've been able to surpass my goal, which even with this COVID, it's unbelievable. We have not felt a blip in this business at all. We are definitely on goal to hit that number this year, possibly more. So just really, I was a little surprised to be invited to the HyperLocal panel, only because I am kind of all over the place, but I do a focus in Northeast St. Pete. Probably that's where the majority of my business does come from, because I live here, and I farm a couple areas, but I will take I have listings over the Skyway right now. I have listings in Tampa, in Lutz. So I am kind of all over the place, but yeah, definitely most of my majority of the business is here.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because when I think about like a St. Pete presence, you're definitely one of those brands that I think of in that St. Petersburg area. And I do remember from our conversation that you guys do business all over Tampa Bay, but I definitely think that, and we'll dive into it today, but for some reasons, when I think about St. Petersburg real estate, you're one of those names that pops in my head, no doubt about it. So it's working, no doubt about it. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Let's go to Cristan. A little bit of your recap there, Cristan.
Yeah, sure. So I appreciate Don for having me here today. And, I started at the best time. I started like in 2009, 2010, when the market was horrible. That's when I started starting real estate. And it was just a hustle from the beginning, from door knocking. I did a lot of cold calls. And just over time, I realized you really had to be focused on specific areas. So for us, right now, we're a little under 50% of our business actually comes from the Davis Island area. So we've built that over the years, and there's a number of different strategies and just things we've done. But as you mentioned earlier, you know, it was a situation for us, at least, of getting ingrained into the community heavily before really focusing on the real estate side, and trying to get sales and stuff like that. So, but anyways, we've built it, my wife and I, and we enjoy doing it day in and day out, and that's kind of where we are. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're going to dive into some of those strategies in just a minute. You guys, without a doubt, have done a great job of integrating yourself into that South Tampa and specifically Davis Island community. So excited to hear a little bit more about how that's all happened and evolved over the years. All right, let's go to our Blue Jays fan over here. Kate, take it away.
Hi. Thank you for having me this morning. I'm excited to be here. I moved to Dunedin in 2006. I was 22 years old, and I applied for a job at a builder in the height of the market. I worked in their design studio, and I thought I was young and naive. I thought I was going to work for that builder forever, and I was making great money, and everybody was living the life. And then the market crashed, and slowly everybody got laid off. And so I was pregnant with my first son. I decided to take a little break from working for a little bit, and then I got the itch to get back into it. So the market started picking up, but it wasn't too hot at the time. So I got into rentals. Worked for a big company in property management and didn't need my license yet. So when I worked for the builder, I didn't need my license, and then in property management, didn't either. And then in 2014, or 2013, I had my second son. 2014, I said, okay, it's time to get my real estate license. I was, in Dunedin. I was property managing in Dunedin. And so I got my license, and I saw the coastal office going up downtown Dunedin in 2014. And I said, that's where I want to be. I want to be in that office. And, got my license, and I've been with Coastal ever since. So that's pretty much it.
Very cool. Awesome. I mean, you really can't drive through Dunedin without seeing Katie's face on a billboard somewhere in that main area. So she as well has done a great job targeting that particular area. So let's dive into some of those first questions about this specific topic of becoming a hyperlocal expert. Whether you've intentionally tried to, I think most of us have in some ways, intentionally targeted geographic areas to become a brand and become a go-to source for real estate needs in that area. Or in some ways, you might have even fell into it just by, like Denise said, living in the area and obviously having connections around there. But was there a particular time that you can remember in your career where you made a decision of, all right, I'm going to really target this area, this niche? Was that a distinct decision that you guys all made? Is that something that kind of just happened? By maybe where you chose to live? And if it was a distinct decision that you made, how did that go? Why was that? Obviously, was it just as simple as, well, I live in the area, so that's where I want to focus? Or were there other factors that went into play in terms of what made you decide what areas you really wanted to build your brand in? Why don't we start with Cristan on this? Cristan, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. It just, the internet kind of, so for us, 100%, it was a decision that was made for us. So there was an agent in the area that we were located in that really dominated that area. And we made a pretty conscious decision that, hey, we're going to take it and we want to be the number one agent in that location. So that was something we did focus on. And we wanted to be close to home too. I mean, we felt like we could provide the best value because, hey, in the neighborhood that we live in, not only do we want to be selling houses, but look, we want to build this community, make it larger, make it bigger. And so, yeah, it was something conscious for us. I can go into details, but go right ahead.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into some of those details for sure. So you can hold on to them for a little bit longer if you want to. But Katie, why don't you go next?
Yeah, so before I got my license in Dunedin, I had owned a house in Dunedin since 2006. and I was singing for the Blue Jays. And I was really involved in the community before I got my real estate license, and just very passionate about Dunedin itself, and saw the potential, personally thought the prices were low. And after the crash, saw a lot of potential of cleaning up houses and doing a lot of rehab properties. And so I did say out loud to a few people who know me that I wanted to be the #1 agent in Dunedin, and I wanted to be the go-to person that everybody goes to when they need real estate, to know about real estate in Dunedin. And I wanted to really focus on it, and more so for my love of the town and just my vision and their potential and just everything that it had to offer. And Dunedin's been so good to me. I mean, I am just so grateful for any listing I get in this town. So yeah, it was a very conscious decision for me.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay. Denise, how about you?
I'm kind of the opposite. I was born and raised here, so was a natural thing to want to focus on St. Petersburg. But I always say St. Petersburg is a big small town. It's not as localized as Dunedin or Safety Harbor. There's people that focus in those areas. With St. Pete, you have really, Bay Area all the way to the Gulf. I definitely don't focus on the beaches. I can say that, but we do have agents on our team that live in the beaches, so we can help that area. But it was just a natural progression, honestly, because I live in Northeast St. Pete, and deciding to farm where you live is the smart thing, because like you said, being close to home, you can add more value because you are closer to the properties and things like that. But for me, I think I didn't ever say consciously, I'm going to take over this area. There's a lot of competition here. There's a lot of really great agents. So it's very hard to take over an area, in my opinion. But I'm happy to be among all the great agents selling in this area for sure. And I am, every time I get a listing, I'm like you, Katie, very, I feel blessed just to have my sign out there, because it is about, every time you have a sign out there, you're branding yourself. And one thing I love about Keller is that we can brand ourselves. So I've been able to, I think my face is my brand, and every time people see that, they'll call me and say, I see you everywhere. And I'm like, oh, that just really rings home to me when people say that, because I'm always shocked, because I'm really not everywhere. But if people think that, that's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good that we have different, not only opinions, but experiences as far as how people have fallen into their niche, so to speak. You heard from two people that seemed very intentional about wanting to target a specific area. And then Denise, who really wasn't necessarily as intentional, but it kind of was natural because of her roots and the fact that she's from there and grew up there and had a lot of connections there. And so there is more than one way to become known in a particular area. I guess for an agent out there who might not be, from an area and is looking to target, then obviously the intentional route would probably be the smartest way to go for somebody to try to figure out what area they really want to create a brand in. So let's talk a little bit more about that. And just so you know, Denise, your audio kind of cut in and out a little bit. So I'm not sure if there's anything on your end that you can do on the audio side, but I heard most of what you said, but I don't know if I was the only one, but it was a little faded a little bit. Just letting you know. So let's talk about some specific details of like the first steps that you made when you did, those of you who said, hey, you know what, this is an area that I'm going to target. And so what went into those first couple of steps to try to, target those areas and build the brand that you've been able to build today? And again, whether you did that intentionally or it just happened naturally over time. If you think back, Denise, to some of the things that you did early in your days of getting, the name out there in the St. Petersburg market, what were some of those things that you think were effective and worked well for you to obviously get to where you are today. So why don't we start this time with Denise, and then we'll go to Katie, and then we'll go to Cristan.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good. Thanks.
Well, trying to think, you know, when my son was little and going to school, he was absolutely Christian, and I embarrassed him by thinking all the parents are going to be driving and dropping the kids off. They're going to make a connection. Denise, real estate. And I pretty much have had that bench since 2012, and I actually can say I have one closing where they said, I saw you on a bench, and got the business that way. But I think just brand recognition was why I've kept it all these years, and it's a silly thing to have, but I started there, and then realized how important marketing is, and try not to skimp on my business with marketing. I really want to be consistent. Consistency is key. If you're going to go after an area, you can't hit it once or twice and think that you're gonna take it over. It has to be very consistent, very purposeful, and that's what we do with the area that we are targeting. Is hit I'd say every 6 weeks with some type of something that lands in their mailbox. And it's usually always about the sales that we're doing in that area to show them that we are the local expert.
Cool. Yeah, and we're going to talk about some marketing strategies too in just a minute. So I'm glad that you brought that up already for sure. Let's go to Katie and then Cristan regarding the question of, what were some of those first steps that you remember taking, Katie, to really start building that presence in the Dunedin market for you?
Yeah, so, well, the first step was getting with Coastal, and I was, Coastal was it still is an invitation-only brokerage, but my broker took a bit of a, leap of faith with me. I was their first, agent who I had experience, but I didn't have my license, I was newly licensed. So making a great relationship with that brokerage and having their support behind me in downtown Dunedin. Also, I used to walk the streets of downtown, and I would walk through the neighborhood. Dunedin is such a small little town. I'd walk around, I'd pass out my card, I'd meet the neighbors. My dad would do it with me sometimes. I do it by myself. I'm not afraid of rejection, or I grew up performing. So, this was like my stage, when I was, 6 years ago. And also I was very already involved in the community a lot, but I was downtown all the time. I would eat lunch at Pisces probably 3 times a week, have my laptop out, talk to anybody and everybody. But also, a lot of people, I realized, wanted to have that human interaction. And I think being genuine with people that I met in Dunedin and actually really caring about the town and about people around me, I think was very important. So supporting local businesses, Dunedin is just a small little great community. And I really was focusing on just being, in a part of it.
Yeah, great stuff, Katie. And that's actually another topic. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. And so right in the beginning, I decided to get a billboard. It was a huge expense for me in the beginning. But I said, you know what? I want to get a billboard on 580. That way, when people are at the Blue Jays games and they see me singing, and then they drive down 580 after the game, they'll see my board and say, oh, she's a realtor here too. So that was in the very beginning, where I kind of was trying to think of, there's so many real estate agents and there's so many great ones. And you just have to, in my opinion, I would just try to think out of the box and what would kind of set me apart. And so I've been doing that for 6 years, and, didn't have any business when I started doing the billboard. And it's, I don't get calls off the board, but, people started seeing my face and brand, as Denise was saying.
Very smart. Yeah, I like that idea of, hey, I'm coming out of the Blue Jays game. She blasted the national anthem, and now she's also a realtor. That's a pretty good connection. I like that. All right, let's go to Cristan. What other thoughts did you have, Cristan?
Yeah, so similar to Katie, South Tampa and particularly Davis Island is a very close, tight-knit community. And so for us, everything was really organic. So we started, and this is beyond real estate, but we started to get involved very heavily in the Civic Association, in the chamber, really started promoting events. So we started doing movies in the park. We started doing capital fundraising for the historic Roy Jenkins Pool. And so all this stuff was not, it was our passion for the community that really drove us. And so as you're going out and you're meeting people and you're talking to people just about all these other things, and then obviously the discussion comes up about real estate, or it comes up about what's your profession, and then you start talking a little bit about real estate. But I think if you have that genuine care for the community, the area, that hyper local focus, I think it's going to come through to people. And so it doesn't happen right away. I don't know of any. I mean, there may be folks out there that start mailing and then immediately they get results, but for us, it was just a real organic, slow moving process. I don't want to say slow in like years, but it was a genuine love of the community. And then from there, we just started building, and now we're hosting events that we do a Halloween in the Village, in Davis Island Village, which brings out over 600-700 people easily. So those are things that just we've done over time, and then they've kind of morphed into, obviously our name is out there and people know us, and we have signs, and once you have signs, as Denise said, it begins to just build. And it's funny you brought that up. These people say, "Oh, I see you everywhere," and it's amazing how one or two signs in a location really creates that perception that you're everywhere, because there's fantastic in South Tampa. There are fantastic agents all around, but I think signs make a big deal, and that's probably something we'll talk about. Over time, you'll get those, and I think that creates an impact as well.
Yeah, thanks. And again, you brought up some points there, Cristan, regarding marketing that we're going to dig a little bit deeper into, as well as you also mentioned community involvement, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that too. But I'm curious. I didn't hear any of you guys mention much about, like, and this may or may not be what your approach was. So that's why I'm asking out of curiosity. Anything regarding like research in your territory, like in your community? Was that part of the beginning phase for any of you in terms of like doing research on demographics in your market, trying to see whether or not it made sense for you to want to target that particular niche other than just liking that area or that niche? Did any of that play a role, or is that kind of overrated sometimes, would you say, in the real estate space? What are your opinions on that?
You know, for me, I mean, I remember, looking at the active properties in Just Dunedin every day, just so if I knew, if somebody had a question, or I could spit out, there's 142 active single family homes listed for sale in Dunedin today. But I would say that's about the extent for me personally, of it. I think more of it was just being passionate. It's just being about genuinely passionate about the area, and I loved it, and I still do. And I think that comes across a lot when you're selling a property, because I'm not only selling the property, I'm selling the location and the area too. And there were so many people in the beginning who would say, "Oh, Dunedin, what, that's just, nobody even knew. We weren't even on the map 6 years ago." And I just think that over time, just focusing on what our community was about is how I went about it.
Yeah, interesting. I love the approach of, hey, I just loved the area and I was passionate about it. And I think sometimes I've talked to some agents who I think get paralyzed with trying to decide like what's the right path for me to go after. And we've all gone through maybe times of uncertainty where if you're consistently uncertain, you don't tend to do anything well.
Paralysis.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so it sounds like Katie kind of went with her heart there and said, I just love this area. And I think it's a smart approach. If
Yeah, and
you're
I think
passionate
people,
about a certain topic. Go ahead.
and I think people can see through like fakeness. You know, I think I focused on things that I've always, my whole life, been passionate about: baseball, singing the national anthem, you know, being involved, singing anywhere you need me. I'll be there for free. You don't, you know, whatever you need, I'll be there to sing. And I've done that my whole life. I mean, since I was 6 years old, I've been singing the national anthem for free, you know, just because I love to do it. So I think that that was huge. I think finding something that you're extremely genuinely passionate about, because people see through if it's not real, and you know, and focusing on that and real estate together, and really making your, you know, yourself different, and but involve yourself in the community. The film festival is a perfect example. I made a video not even knowing Dunedin had a film festival coming up, and I made a music video just because I wanted to make one. I mean, and then I find out there's a film festival in Dunedin, and you know, it just, I think, and then you know, I've gotten so much business from that, but not intentionally, just because I wanted to be a part of it. So I think that you need to do it from a genuine place, and not just because it's about the money or the business. And you know, that's what I think like a hyper-local expert is.
Makes sense. You must be missing your baseball games right now.
The Rays made me record my anthems, and so they've been playing them for the teams, not anybody else, on the screen. So, but yeah, I mean, I miss it so much. You have no idea. Yeah,
I think we all do. We all love to be there again in person for sure. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Anybody else have things to add regarding that topic, Denise?
Well, kind of to the same point. I have seen downtown St. Pete when there was absolutely nothing there. I used to live on Beach Drive when I was 20 years old in an apartment, and I used to walk to work, and there was nothing downtown. So to see our city change into this, you know, really great destination where people want to come, and I get a lot of people in my world that want to be, they think they want to be in South Tampa or down, you know, near downtown St. Pete, and I'm happy to show them both, you know, because I love South Tampa too, for a lot of different reasons. But typically when they do come and I do the tour with them and we drive through downtown, and, you know, I really love selling my city. Like I'm so proud of what we've become. And it's really easy for me to sell St. Pete. And I am very passionate about what we've become over the last 20 years because I knew it before. So.
Yeah, I remember going to University of Tampa. I graduated in 2003, and we didn't really spend a lot of time in St. Pete, you know, back then. There wasn't a lot to do, and boy, has St. Pete changed a lot. It's night and day.
At 6 p.m., you know, if people worked down there, that was the only reason they were there, and then they would go home, and there was nothing, no nightlife, no nothing. So it's just amazing. And I'm so proud of, you know, the leadership of our city too, who's created such a great environment, and it's beautiful. So is Tampa and Dunedin. I love all those places. I definitely, you know, try to get people to go to Dunedin because it is becoming such a great place, and yeah, love it all.
Yeah, you know, on that, what's funny is that I don't want to say it's easy because it's never easy in real estate, but to sell Florida in general in the Tampa Bay area has become probably one of the easiest things to do now. Not only just because of COVID, but just the changes in other parts of the country. So I think that's helped us out a lot. One thing I was going to say is, you know, it's great as a real estate agent to know the numbers and to know the sales and what price per square foot and things like that. But I really think people that are coming here, we do a lot of relocation business. They want to know what's going on, right? So what's the future of the cities or the locations that we're in? And so that was one thing that we really tried to focus on, is having a really detailed knowledge of what's happening, what new businesses are calling, you know, small little coffee shops. Oh, look, this place is vacant. What's going in there? And so we started to become a resource to people. I would get calls. Hey, do you know what's going on over here? Do you know what the city's doing with the streets over here? And so having that knowledge beyond real estate and being that true resource for a community goes huge. And I may get business from that, or I may not, you know, either way. but I think that they'll now know your name, and they know that, hey, he knows what's going on, understands what's happening. I think it just creates it just has been really good for us to be able to know what's happening beyond the real estate market.
Yeah, that's a great point, Cristan, is, positioning yourself as a local go-to resource of just knowledge, about your market, and you're dead on point where so many people, when they're looking to buy in an area, they want to see what that next 5, 10, 15 year, 20 year plan is looking like, from a city and a development standpoint. And so that makes a lot of sense. I can see, having your ear to the ground, so to speak, would be really critical. A couple of you have mentioned marketing already, so let's talk a little bit more about that. And since most of you, all of you, have been building a brand over multiple years in your niche community there, have your marketing philosophies also evolved and changed over the years with what you did initially to try to get outreach and branding and your name known versus what you've done today? I would imagine that all three of you are heavy subscribers to word of mouth and referrals, and that usually is what most top agents obviously have built great businesses on. And I think that kind of goes even without saying. But are there specific strategies that you feel like you've done in marketing and even in developing a strong referral base and word of mouth that you feel like has helped you become a local expert? So why don't we start with Cristan, then we'll go to Katie and Denise.
Yeah, sure. So I think I touched on it in the beginning from a marketing standpoint. When I started, I was doing a lot of door knocking, which is interesting nowadays. I don't know that you can necessarily do it as much, but I was doing a lot of that, was doing mailings. And so that did help. But I think where I saw more impact from a marketing side was we started creating, it was basically an island directory. So, and we started mailing those out to folks, started having those in all goodie bags for all the events that we would do. And literally it was just one sheet that listed the area businesses. It was a magnet so they could put it on refrigerator or wherever, and had our information at the bottom. And I tell you, I get calls on that yearly on, hey, do you have an updated one? So that was just a little piece that we did that I think was something beyond real estate that, and it was really a long-term thing that you could keep for a while because the businesses didn't change that frequently. So that was just a small thing that we wound up doing from a marketing side. And then obviously the sponsorships that we do continually for the different, like the movies in the park, for the Halloween in the Village, those types of things have helped as well. Just the event sponsorships and being a presence, not just sponsoring it, but actually helping to organize it, put it together, and being there at the time of the event. So those are just two that we wound up doing.
Do you still run some of those same campaigns today, Cristan?
We do, yeah. We've continued those. We've gotten away from we don't do as much mailings. We do more targeted mailings, but so that we've kind of gotten away from. But the events and the touch points, we still continue to do those.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm assuming your word of mouth and referrals has just all been built over the years, right?
It's huge. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the way. I mean, if I were to start over again, I would have done that more so in the beginning. I mean, having cups of coffee with people outside of real estate, just in the community, it helps so much to do those types of things. Obviously, as you get bigger, it can be a little bit harder, but I think if you can teach, like if you have a team and you can teach your folks that are coming in, hey, this is really what you need to do. It's going to take a little while, but I think that's key. Definitely do.
Makes sense. Katie, how about you?
I think my marketing strategy hasn't really changed. I'm besides the billboard, I'm 100% referral based. So, I used to send out a lot of mailers in the beginning, but I found that, over time that being involved in things that you genuinely like within the community and like Cristan said, just having coffee or meeting with people and talking to people is really joining different committees. I'm on the architectural review committee for the city of Dunedin. So I know about new developments that are coming up and happening. The Merchants Association, I go to all their meetings. So I think I've over time just become, sponsoring more things in Dunedin that I'm passionate about, and just being even more a part of the community. So I would say my marketing, dollar wise, it's actually, it's my time. So it's not, and I do spend a lot of time. And in the beginning, when I started doing these things, I've had people say to me, are you getting paid to do this? Like, do you get paid to sing? Do you get paid to this? And no, I just genuinely want to be a part of it and genuinely want to do it. And I'm pretty selective about what I sponsor now. But it's things that within the community that I just absolutely love. And I think that that's really important. And I've been doing more of that, I should say, over the years. And having a great team that's also from my, Dunedin, like my assistant, I sold her house in Dunedin. She's been with me for 3.5 years. I wouldn't be where I am without her. She is my lifeline. I'm running around doing circles in my blue Jeep all day around Dunedin and meeting with people and, going to my listings and she's there in the office doing all the paperwork but she is just as passionate about, Dunedin as I am. So I think having, people, if you do have a team, having them be, as passionate as you are about what you're doing as well.
You could tell that Katie's all about just, following her heart, right? Like she's got her passionate clubs and groups and associations and the market. It's all about, hey, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm going to do, and success will follow.
Yeah. And I do think just being positive and mentally believing, even before, I sat at a table, I'll never forget this, when I first got my license, and I sat at a table with a couple other realtors, and the guy was like, well, what's your goal this year, as a new realtor? And I said 12 million. And they literally laughed in my face. It was like the joke. And I'm like, haha, and I did 9 that year. I didn't do 12, but I did 9. So I think that just, most of it was in Dunedin. So I think it's just focusing on that area and being genuine about it too. And just believing in yourself as well. And just having that confidence to be able to talk to people and get involved with things, take a risk, take a chance, be okay with rejection, because it happens all the time. Be okay. Don't pay attention to what everybody else is saying. Focus on yourself and, and your community, and don't worry about, support other agents. I think that's huge too. I've over the years have given agents advice, gone to listing appointments, didn't get the listing, but just went to help that agent in Dunedin because they needed to know about the price and if they were, accurate. And I've done stuff like that. So I think that's important too. And then, people hear that you're like that. And I think that's important. Anyway, sorry.
Good stuff, Katie. Appreciate it. Denise, how about you?
Yeah, so I do have a quick question for Katie. If it sounds like you really, really are hyper focused on Dunedin.
I am.
So business that goes outside of Dunedin, what do you do with that? Because I'll be your referral partner.
So I do, like the greater Dunedin area, right? So I have listings in Clearwater, Palm Harbor. I actually, just recently, I had some listings in Tampa, and I felt that I wasn't servicing them how I should be. So I actually talked to the seller and told them that I think that they should get somebody who's more localized and who can pay more attention to those listings in Tampa. And it was a builder. And so anyway, so I think that, it's hard for me to turn down business because I want to help everybody, but I've realized that you can't. And if you spread yourself too thin, then you're not, giving good business to people. So I've learned that in the last, I would say year or two as I've gotten extremely busy. But yeah, I do have other, business elsewhere throughout Tampa Bay, but it's rare that I go outside. It's usually a referral from a friend or something who wants to sell their house in, Land O'Lakes.
Here.
Okay, awesome. Will do.
I do think there's immense power in that mentality of being a big fish in a small pond, right? And
Yeah.
One of the questions I'll ask in a minute is like, all of you are in markets where there were already like big fish, I would imagine, that were in that pond. And so I think in some cases, especially for newer agents, they might get intimidated by that. And Denise, we're going to go to you about marketing stuff here too, but be thinking if you can about like, what was that like when you were new in your market and there might've been a couple of big fish already, how do you overcome that thought process of, is it even worth going after this market? So-and-so is already dominating it. And I think the reality is that I believe, and I could be naive, that anybody who targets a specific area, if you keep doing the right things, over time, there's still plenty of business for everybody to develop a niche and to develop that brand. But maybe you guys have some different thoughts on that. Denise, let's talk a little bit more from your perspective. You mentioned some of the marketing things you've done before. Again, has that changed? Has that evolved at all over the years? And how do you feel like those things have helped you developing your brand in the St. Pete area?
Well, I still, consistency is key, and you can't really change it up. You've got to keep doing the same thing, or I think it could be a huge waste of money. So what rang with me years ago when I first, stayed true with me is I heard somebody say that 83% of people would choose their realtor again if they could remember their name. So that is very, I think of that all the time when I'm in a deal with somebody. My main focus is to keep in touch with these people year after year after year. And I do think that I've done a pretty good job of that. And we touch our clients with gifts and cards and things like that, and everyone gets a calendar, whether it's cheesy or not, is very consistent. Because back before I was a realtor, I used to get a calendar in my neighborhood from this one realtor every year without fail. And I said to my husband, if we ever sell, we're going to use her, because I was like, wow, I mean, she's just very consistent. And then I became a realtor and I sold my house, so I didn't have to. But those things are what we do. We think it's very important to keep in touch with your clients and to be top of mind with them, because it's easy to forget a name if you're not, in front of them constantly. And that's a lot of my marketing is just in the follow-up and to continue to get the referrals and the repeat business. And then we also, on the area that we farm, we are consistent with the mail marketing that we're doing. It's a pretty big piece that shows, how much we actually sell in the area. So I think so that we are the local expert. The other thing that I did this year, which I started it last year, was definitely in magazines. Trying to be the presence in some of the local, magazines that land in the luxury homes. We've definitely expanded. That is more of my target audience is luxury homes, but I do everything, and might be a little different than the panelist here, but I really do focus on, I want as much as, we can come our way. And I have built the team to support that. As far as your question about, what did you just ask again? Sorry, I had that thought on me.
No, I think you addressed like the idea of, has your marketing strategies evolved or changed at all over the years? And what I just brought up was when getting
the big fish.
Yeah, the big fish concept.
Well,
if there was somebody already there.
Yeah, there's definitely some big fish in this pond in our area. And I just am not intimidated. I have been up against listing, I've been up for the same listing as some of the big fish, and I've been able to get the listing. And I think what was important is knowing my numbers and being able to show my value in a lot of different ways compared to maybe the other agent that I was up against. And I think it's just, don't be intimidated. Go after the business. Just like you said, there's enough to go around. We're not going to get everything. But as long as you have value to offer, you're gonna take some of that market share. And, I think we definitely have taken a lot of market share in this area over the years. So.
Yeah. And I think your point that you started with of consistency is one of the, if not like, it's obviously not the only reason, but it's one of the big reasons why, is that you've taken that and adopted that mentality of sticking to whatever your plan was and not going away from that. I think a lot of agents that I've talked to, and my background, as you guys know, is in marketing and in sales and in trying to create brands. And a lot of people try something for a little while, they feel like it doesn't work, and then they stop it. And it's really hard to get traction if you're constantly hopping around all the time and not having any sort of a consistent focus on a particular target demographic. And so I think Denise's approach there makes a lot of sense. Most of you have already mentioned ideas of things that you do outside of traditional marketing to become a brand in a local community, various associations and groups and things that you've joined, things that are part of your normal routine now. Is there anything that we want to add to that that you do, outside of what most realtors would view as traditional marketing, that has made a big impact in your local community and you think has really helped you get to where you are today as far as, a hyper-local expert in that niche? Anything else come to mind that we haven't mentioned as far as, branding in that way?
I think social media too, and focusing on, like my Instagram name is Katie Sells Dunedin, So I think that but 6 years ago, Instagram wasn't the thing, but then a couple of years ago, I started getting into it. And so I think I've done that a little bit more and focused on some, localized social media stuff as well, and promoting different things that are going on in Dunedin. But I wanted to just quickly say, in the beginning, when I started this, I still do, we're on commission only. When is the next deal coming? When is the next, thing going to happen? And it always would happen. But I think just not giving up and don't let those thoughts kind of take over, and just like everybody said here, be consistent and, just keep going, just keep trying. I can't tell you how many times in the beginning that I would be like, should I pay for Zillow leads? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I've realized that for me personally, it's been about just getting involved. And, Dunedin has so much to offer, and there's enough real estate around for everybody. And also being supportive of other agents is huge, at least in my community. So.
Just by being here today, it shows that you guys all support other agents. That's for sure. So we appreciate you taking the time out to help the real estate community as a whole. Anybody else have something you want to add to that last topic or question?
Well, I would say to hit off Katie's point, social media obviously has become a bigger part of our business, Instagram in particular, just because you can visualize everything and you can not only promote the houses, but different phases of construction, just cool things. One thing that we started doing a number of years back, and I didn't know how it would take off, but we wound up doing 3 properties in 30 seconds. And so we would go out and we would find 3 properties that we thought were the best deals in the Tampa market. And we do a quick video. It was basically, I'd roll it off my tongue in 30 seconds. I'd tell people what those properties are, show a quick picture of it, the details of it. And so we did those videos for a number of years. And that, I don't know that I never necessarily got business. Like someone said, oh, I saw that property and that's the one I want. But the number of people that have said, hey, I saw your video. I saw your video. I saw your video. And so I think, and that was just something we did. It took time to kind of search and put it all together, but it was something that kind of giving, because that was the big thing. Everyone wants to know, well, what's the deal? Where do you see as a deal? And we're professionals, so we should really know where the deals are. So that was something that I think has helped, and pushing that onto Facebook and YouTube and Instagram have been a different way of us being able to expand our network, but also keep it local, because sometimes we would just focus on, hey, this community, this is what the deals are in this community. Here are the 3. So that was just another hyper local way that we focused.
Cool. I love the idea of, being a content creator is definitely a way to position yourself. That's for sure. In your local area. You heard Katie mention that too with her Instagram, Katie sells Dunedin. Is that the hashtag there, Katie? Katie sells Dunedin? You're muted, so I couldn't hear you there, but.
Sorry. Yeah, that's just, my Instagram name at Katie sells Dunedin.
That's the Instagram handle. Okay. We threw a little perk out there for a little throw out for you. Cool. Denise, anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I mean, same thing. Social media is the way I always refer to my database is my Facebook page. I think it's important to, I always think, oh my gosh, people are probably getting sick of seeing everything I do, but I have to remind myself that they don't have the same friends. I have lots of realtor friends on my Facebook, so I'm seeing realtor stuff all the time, and I have to remind myself that our clients and friends are not seeing as much realtor stuff as we are. So yeah, just really putting it out there, making sure that, people are scrolling through, and it's so easy for people to, forget that you're a realtor unless you're constantly in front of their face. And how many times does somebody go to lunch with a friend and they're like, oh, I need a realtor. And that person may be sitting there thinking, who do I know that's a realtor? You just got to be in their face constantly. And I think it can be exhausting sometimes, but we have to do it. And it's a big part of this business.
That's the consistency aspect again, for sure.
Video.
Sorry, go ahead.
Cristan said that he did with the video. This year I was going to try to do more videos, because I do think people really like to see the movement and the action, and and especially you are telling them give them some value in what they're watching, because you're telling them about properties. And that's something I lack in. I will tell you, I need to be better about that. So we're going to try to do things like that.
I like it. Last question I had, and we can wrap up here. And this is obviously recorded, so this will be up on our Facebook page that could be shared if you guys wanted to share it with anybody as well. And we'll be seeing it through the page. Is there anything that you guys do to try to stay up to date? You heard Cristan mention earlier, like knowing your market and where it's trending in the next 5 years, and people asking you guys those questions about what's new, what's happening, with what's going to be going on. Any hacks that you can share as far as ways that you keep yourself knowledgeable of the local market? And maybe it's even like technology tips. We always try to throw out there a couple of tech hacks for people, whether those are favorite apps that you think really help you in your business locally, whether those are marketing flavor or just from a knowledge or education standpoint, and any of that come to mind that we can throw out there. We'll start, I guess, with Katie, Cristan, and Denise, and we'll go Katie, Denise, Cristan, we'll wrap up.
All right. I think it's just back to, for me personally, just back to being involved in the community. So I think that just being a part of it is all really for me, and being a hyper local expert is just, being involved, and I really don't have, just being genuine about what you're doing, and, having knowledge of what's happening in Dunedin or in your local area. And, people ask me all the time, Dunedin's really right now, the market. I mean, I listed a property the other day, had, 6 offers, and it went for, $12,000 over the list price, all cash, 2-week close, and so, but people and other agents were asking me, well, my client's having a hard time because they think that this is like the top of the market, what's going to happen here in the future. And I think, knowing and being, positive that this, regardless, Dunedin is a small town. It's a great place to be. You're going to always have value in your property, and there's no better investment than real estate. So I think just kind of knowing, what you're doing, and just the knowledge of the area is extremely important.
Is there any way, Katie, that you feel like has helped you stay involved with all these community events and stuff that you're doing in Dunedin? I'm assuming, is that just from following on Facebook groups and knowing what's going on regularly? Is that how you've kind of gotten all that information, or how did you figure out like all the different ones you wanted to participate in?
Yeah, so the Architectural Review Committee was a newer committee here in Dunedin. And I noticed over the last, few years in Dunedin that there was a lot of passionate residents who didn't like a lot of the big developments, didn't like a lot of what the buildings were looking like. And so the city started a architectural review committee. And I, even though I'm a real estate agent, I don't want big developers in Dunedin. I want to keep it small and quaint. And, as much as I want to sell real estate in Dunedin, I also live here. So I want it to be, a great place and not, overly, developed, I should say. So it was, so I joined that committee recently, or I was asked to be on it. And I think that that's important and something that I've done it to kind of get knowledge of what's happening in Dunedin and being a part of the Merchants Association and just, the different groups that way. Not so much on social media when it comes to Dunedin, I should say, but just being out there, that's what they want. They want to see you.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Denise?
I'm going to ask you to repeat that question because I was focused on what.
Yeah, no worries. I was just saying, is there anything specific that you feel like you do or that you follow, how you stay up to date on new changes and things happening in your particular community there, and whether that would even be including like certain apps or tech tips that you feel like are helpful that keep you up to date on all the new stuff going down?
Yeah, I am like the most not technology minded person. Again, I feel like I'm going 100 million miles a minute and I don't take the time to learn anything new. I kind of leave that to the people on the team to teach me what I need to know. But we do have, well, since COVID hit, it's a little bit hard to really stay in touch with some of the committees we were doing, but staying in touch with what's going on downtown because there are so many changes. We have, new buildings going up. Our brokerage is involved in a new construction, and knowing, just knowing that market that, a lot of people want knowledge on what's it, should I invest in this condo pre-construction, those kinds of things. We have to really stay focused on that market because our office is in downtown St. Pete. We really need to know the condo market inside and out. We need to know the condo buildings. I would say I don't do a ton of business in that area or that arena, but I still want to be very knowledgeable about it. I'm more in the residential, but I definitely need to know that business down there. One thing, I use, when you talk about apps for marketing, I've had to get to know some of these quick little apps on my phone to create quick postcards to pop out on Instagram and, Canva, and just, we have Command at our office that we use, and things like that for marketing. I've just been getting to know some apps that I can quickly, stay up till midnight playing on my phone and creating things, which is fun. But one thing I wanted to mention too about another way to stay in touch with people is we really, I think, do a pretty good job doing client appreciation events. I know you do a lot of events, Dawn, and that's how you stay connected with your people. And that is one thing we do at least 2 or 3 a year. And we usually try to bring value to that event so they are getting knowledge of the real estate market and things like that. And then we're giving them time to, we haven't been able to do it lately, of course, but that was something that's pretty big in my business too, is client appreciation events.
Yeah, no doubt. Love it. Thanks for bringing that up. I know certain agents that I've met with, they've built their business off of just like an event focused business. So I think obviously whether that would include, showings, not showings, but you can tell I'm not an agent because I just lost the word, but you get the idea. Cristan, let's end with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep it short. So I just think there's two different things that I see. One is being knowledgeable on the larger aspects of, say, Tampa, for example, and the Tampa Bay Business Journal and publications like that. So you just have an overall arching of what's happening. And then the hyper-local side is really, as Katie kind of mentioned, you really have to be integrated into the community. You have to go and you have to talk to folks that talk to the boards that are out there, talk to people that are doing rezoning within your area. I used to be a very big fan of it, not so much now. I used to use the Nextdoor app quite often. You probably have them all in your areas, but that's kind of, it used to be very helpful. Now it's kind of changed into people going back and forth. But that was
like every other platform.
What was that?
Like every other platform, it feels like sometimes.
Exactly. So that used to be helpful. And I used to promote that. To help to build that community. So I think that's something I think agents can use. Really looking at the city's budget, right? I get into that type of detail to know, hey, we talk about the 4, 5, 10-year plan. What's the infrastructure plan for our location? Because that's going to impact, hey, if people see a huge wide road right now where a house is, but look, in 4 years or 3 years, they're going to minimize that. They're going to make that road smaller so there's not as heavy traffic. So where you thought was a busy street is no longer. So those are the things I think you really need to do if you want to be a hyperlocal expert. You have to know beyond real estate what is happening in your community. That's just kind of what we've done.
Good stuff, guys. I think we flushed out a lot of content on this call. So since obviously it is recorded, you guys can share the links if you want through our Facebook stuff to anybody in your team. We're excited to be able to have you three guys on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to just elaborate. I know we're all jamming right now and your phones are probably blowing up over the last hour, but hopefully it was a good opportunity for you to take a step back and actually ponder about how you've gotten to where you are today. And the word I was looking for, by the way, was open houses. So that was what I was about to say. Yes.
I am huge on open houses.
Yes.
There
I
you
still do them. I do like at least 2, if not more, every weekend.
Very cool. Yeah, I know many agents that I've gotten a chance to meet. That's what their whole focus has been on, running like event style open houses and turning and building their entire business from that model.
Do you both have teams?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I was just asking if they both had teams.
Yeah, mine's my assistant, Whitney, a girl, Alicia, who lived in Dunedin forever, and then my dad. So that's mine.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's just my wife and I right now. Yeah.
Dynamic duo over there. The Fadal power team.
You can come to Wagner if you both have pets. Feel free when you're in Tampa. Come on Davis Island. We'll have food and grooming all available.
Love it.
Nice.
My buddy Chase is fired up about that right
There
now.
it is. Yes.
Is that a puggle?
He's ready to go to South Tampa as we speak. Thank you so much, guys. This was a pleasure.
Thanks, Tom, for putting this
Thank
together.
you. Thanks for having us.
You have an amazing day, an amazing week. Talk to you later.
Thanks,
You
guys.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.